And we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 69th episode of the FilmBrony Podcast. I am, of course, Nick Nino, the guy in charge of this. And with me, I have a guest who created this podcast. So, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm FilmBrony, as you all know. Um, uh, I know it's been a bit late but late than never on Stein Alpha 2026.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you there. I. There's a reason for it, guys. A lot has been going on lately. Work, and then I had Easter. I had Easter in my family, and yeah, it's life. This is what happens when life gets catches up on me. So I really thank you guys for your patience. It's it's just that it's just that ah crap. I forgot what I was gonna say. It's just that this. It's just that life really gets to you when you have a lot of shit on your hands. And I'm sorry if I'm not sounding in a good mood right now. I'd rather not say what happened, but it's just I'm just in a foul mood right now. And you know, usually we start out with the Blu-rays and stuff, but we got two movies. We got two 2026 films. We're gonna get off our chest first before we even do our Blu-rays. And let's just say, oh dear, let's just say two of these films, are currently two of the worst movies that I've seen this year so far. One for Søren, and then one for I. So we might as well mention them right away. And hello, Jose. Welcome to the podcast. I'm not doing all right if I'm going to be honest with you, but I'm going to try my best to entertain you and the others tonight. So
You
anyway,
know,
anyway, here we go. Let's just get this out of the way. Our first movie we're going to talk about is what is arguably one of the worst sci-fi films I've ever seen in my life. Mercy.
you know, a lot of people have really hated last year's War of the Worlds, and I can see why. It's haphazardly directed, poorly acted, and overall poorly conceived. But to be perfectly frank, what people say about that movie is how I feel about this corporate piece of slop. Now, you may think I'm being too harsh in this movie already, so before I get to why this movie is a disaster, let's go over all the things I liked about this movie. And that was everything I liked about Mercy. I'm not kidding. Everything about this movie is wrong. The story is about a trite, innocent man tries to prove his innocence plot, and a shameless ripoff of Minority Report on how it tries to use a program to be judge, jury, and executioner before a hero has to prove it wrong when he's charged. The acting is a joke. Chris Pratt is severely wasted in this role, as all he does is complain and react to the footage, and Rebecca Ferguson is
And
severely.
the sad thing about this is that he was the only actor in the film that actually tried his best. Unfortunately, the script doesn't give him any material to work with whatsoever.
And Rebecca Ferguson is severely wooden as the AI judge, even by AI standards. The film,
She suffers through the exact same problem as Jared Leto from sorry from Tron Ares last year. Like where she's like stone faced. Whenever she's not speaking, she's like stone faced. Like
the filmmaking is severely bland, as 90% of it is just seeing the two stars sitting there talking in this bland and boring backdrop. And the fact that they actually released this in IMAX 3D baffles me to no end, because what is there to show? I mean, say what you will about something like Clash of the Titans and Last Airbender, at least it had things moving to somewhat justify the 3D gimmick. This movie, though, In the words of the pirates who don't do anything, nothing, zilts, nada. The visual effects are absolutely abysmal, looking like a
Like
PS.
seriously, seriously, this is some of the worst visual effects I've ever seen in a sci-fi film. They look so bad that you could have swore that like Amazon revived like franchise pictures. Yes, the franchise pictures of Battlefield Earth and Ballistic X versus Sever to do the visual effects for them.
The pacing is a mess, as most of it follows the exact same formula. The judge accuses Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt tells us he's innocent. They look at various documents while occasionally calling someone, sometimes the exact same person, to the exact same piece of conversation. The dialogue ironically feels AI generated, as nobody speaks human throughout, and just like in Five Nights 2, either speak in exposition or cliches. And even if, spoiler alert for a movie I'm not recommending at all, Chris Pratt is finally acquitted.
Spoil it, dude. Spoil it.
Chris Pratt is finally acquitted and set free from his chair so he could confront the real man responsible for all this shit. It's too little too late, as he disposed of just as quickly as he comes to the scene. And Chris Pratt makes amends with the AI through this sappy shit like, it's okay, everyone makes mistakes.
Oh my god. And oh my god, that ending. Especially when it decides to shoot itself in the foot by being a pro AI message. Like, are you kidding me?
Overall, I despise this movie with a burning passion. It's not only getting the zero raise, not only does it get my rare 0 out of 10, but I'm going as far as to say that this movie has officially dethroned Save a Bikini Bomb, the Sandy Cheeks movie, as the very worst movie of the decade so far. Because as annoying as that experience was, I can at least point to the one joke I at least showed my teeth at, the zombie werewolves reference. Here, I can't think of a single redeeming quality in this movie. Bland acting, horrible writing, cliche story characters, shitty presentation, a reprehensible message about AI. Basically, this movie is everything wrong with Hollywood today. And if I see a movie this year that's somehow worse, we're going to have a very bad time at the movies this year. So to sum it all up, and to quote Nick over here, fuck this movie straight to hell with a dirty dick.
Seriously. No, seriously. Fuck this movie. I mean everything from like the story to the writing to the directing, the characters, acting, the music, the cinematography, the editing, the pacing, the visual effects, and even the message and the ending and its themes, all absolutely wrong. 100% wrong. And yep, as you already guessed, oh wait, hold on. Just everything everything in this movie was just downright wrong. And I want to tell you something about Rebecca Ferguson. I love her. I really like Rebecca Ferguson. She's been great in Dune parts 1 and 2, and I'm really excited to see her in Dune Part 3 later this year. But oh my god, like this is what I mean. Like when she's like this, like even when she's not speaking, like this. Like doesn't that sound like? Isn't that fun to like stare at that? Also, if you're planning to watch this movie, I recommend playing a drinking game on how many times Rebecca Ferguson keeps like a stone cold face. And no, it cannot be when she's speaking. It has to be when she's not even speaking. When she doesn't even have a line. It has to be that.
I haven't seen Skyline, but I can't imagine it being worse than this movie.
What you telling me? And Eddie, Leah, Taz, welcome to the podcast, guys. Yeah, I really hated this movie. I hated this movie. It's one of the worst sci-fi films I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I knew I was in trouble. I knew I was in trouble when I found out who was directing the film, given that the director did Wanted, which I did not like, as well as Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter and the Ben-Hur remake, which I absolutely hated.
Okay, not the 50s remake, the more recent one with Toby Capple.
Yeah, that's the one I pointed out. That's the one I referenced. I mentioned, but yeah. But I was hoping maybe in the slightest he would be he would at least improve over his last previous movies, given the fact that the Ben-Hur remake was the last movie I saw from this director. No. You know what? No. Fuck the Hope. This is his worst movie to date. I mean, there are some movies that there are some really bad sci-fi films I've seen this decade so far that are just bad, but at least they're fascinating at how bad they are. This one, though, I felt fucking dumber watching this film, watching Mercy. Like, sometimes, and let me just say this right now, we all have opinions. Film is subjective, and if you like this movie, if you like any of the movies that you like, that's totally all right. You're allowed to like something that you like. More power to you. But this is one of those times where I'm like, who in the hell was this movie made for? Who was it made for? And that applies to the next film I'm going to talk about, which, don't worry, I'll give out my rating as soon as I finish talking about the second film. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to talk about the second film first, and then I'll get to my rating. I really was not looking forward to talking about this one. The first chapter, I mean, I've never been a fan of this franchise. The first film from 2008 was meh. Pray at Night was one of the worst movies I saw from 2018. Then we had a reboot. Then this decade so far, we had a reboot. Chapter 1 ended up being the worst horror movie I saw in 2024. Then came Chapter 2 the very next year, which, if it wasn't for Five Nights at Freddy's 2, this would have been my pick for the worst horror film of 2025. This movie makes those films look like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And this movie is so bad, this movie is so anticlimactic, that it makes Halloween Ends look like the Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Yep. The Strangers, Chapter 3.
To think that Rennie Horror went from Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger to a schlock like this.
Guys, I am not kidding when I say this. Søren, I gotta be honest with you, Søren. This is already battling Mercy as being the worst movie I've seen this year so far. I gotta be honest with you, Søren. I got to be honest with you on this, because this is not just one of the worst horror films I've ever seen in my life. This is one of the worst conclusions to what is quite possibly one of the worst film trilogies I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Everything in this movie is downright wrong. From its story, especially with how many flashbacks it presents, the writing, which has really awful dialogue and terrible characterization. The directing, especially with how incompetent it is, especially with how incompetent and poorly directed it felt, to the film being so poorly acted, to the musical score being nothing but a scrambled mess of noisy chaos, to its bland cinematography, clumsy editing, awful pacing, cliches that the cliches that it has, including the characters making dumb decisions either for the sake of the plot or to pad out the runtime. And finally comes this. Comes what the last two were definitely well known for. And I think you know where I'm going with this. Give me a second. Jump scare! Like, I'm not kidding. It is. There are some jump scares in this movie that you could predict coming from a mile away, and it destroys any sort of tension it's even trying to go for whatsoever. And you know, since I'm continuing on with talking about why this movie sucks ass, I might as well spoil some things that I might as well spoil some things in the film that really angered me to no end. So if you guys are ready to hear it, here we go. First off, the story presents a lot of the flashbacks, revealing the answers of how the strangers came to be. We already know. I already told you how the strangers came to be, especially when in the last film. Hold on. The pinup girl, along with the pinup girl, killed another student named Tamara out of jealousy, as Tamara was developing this crush on the guy that was in the Scarecrow mask. I mean, would later be in the Scarecrow mask as one of the strangers. But here's some more damning information here's some more damning things that really did not make any sense and couldn't be any more obvious and idiotic. First off, you remember the sheriff character from the last film who was so oblivious to not knowing that Maya was missing by saying, oh, she's got 24 hours until she's released. Well, you're not going to believe this. Sheriff Rotter is the father of the Scarecrow killer. Yes, you heard that right. Sheriff Rotter is the father of the Scarecrow killer. Now, I know what you're going to tell me. Now, wait a minute. The Scarecrow killer is somebody in a mask. Who was behind the mask the entire time? Well, are you ready to hear who's behind the mask the entire time? Are you ready, kids? Good. Because the character that was in the Scarecrow mask the entire time was Gregory, played by Gabriel Bassel. Like, oh my God, Gabriel Bassel was the killer, and he was in the Scarecrow mask the entire time. Aren't we so clever at being so shocking? So shocking, even though we spoon-fed it to the audience. How in the hell would someone not see this one coming? You have Gregory being a fucking red herring in the second chapter, and then in the third chapter, blames Maya for killing Ryan, while also throwing in this whole idiotic backstory where his father, Sheriff Rotter, got him and Shelley off scot-free for the murder of Tamara. It's like, again, how in the hell would someone not see this coming? It's so predictable. It's just so predictable to the point where it just becomes embarrassing to watch. Yeah, this movie's a piece of shit. Overall. And I'm not kidding, Taz. Those are literally 2 reveals in the film. Excuse me. Also, one last thing to mention. How they try to get Maya to join the strangers. Now, the concept of Maya trying to join the strangers does sound interesting on paper, but in execution, it's a different story. Like she's trying to protect herself from the strangers, yet they manipulate her into her joining one of them. And I'm like, you guys couldn't think of any more ideas to come to have Maya join you? Like, are you that stupid? Yeah, I hated this movie. I hated this movie so much. Again, this is not just one of the worst conclusions to what is quite possibly one of the worst film trilogies I've ever seen, but it is also one of the worst horror films I've ever seen in my entire life. I am not kidding that this is the worst horror film of the year so far, and we are just catching up on the first round of movies that came out this year. Yeah, if you haven't guessed already, both Mercy and The Strangers Chapter 2 are fighting neck and neck for the worst movie I've seen in 2026 so far, and they're both getting 0 out of 10 or an F. Yeah, I'm going that far. Do not waste your time with this film. Even if you love The Strangers, it is not worth your time. And you know it's bad. And you know this trilogy is bad when Pray at Night is somehow better than The Strangers Chapters 1, 2, and 3. And it's even more damning, and it's even more baffling when you realize this whole thing was originally supposed to be one film stretched out through over 3 hours. And that's including an intermission. I'm not kidding, by the way. According to Madeline Pesh, she stated this. She stated that all 3 chapters were going to be edited together with an intermission in the middle. Yeah, it's
You're not Bray Corbet movie.
What?
You're not Bray Corbet movie.
No, you're not. And that also raises another question, which is another problem which is the same problem Søren had when he reviewed Rebel Moon 1 and 2. Why make it into 3 chapters then? What's the point? What's the point of making The Strangers into 3 chapters when you had an original idea of all 3 chapters going to be edited together with an intermission in the middle? What's the point of that? Yeah, exactly. Fuck this movie. Fuck it straight to hell with a dirty dick. All right. Let's get to the Blu-ray showcase. Why don't we?
All right, it's been a month or two, so let's get through this. The Carpenter's Son.
Not gonna say a damn word about the first one.
Dave.
Dave's a really good one.
A movie I was introduced through the popcorn panel, Fade to Black.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one.
Good Boy.
That's a good one.
Next, I have a movie that isn't officially on Blu-ray, so I might as well get the for your consideration thing. Never Really, Sometimes Always.
I really wish they released that on Blu-ray because that was one of the best movies of 2020.
Yeah. Hamnet.
I also have Hamnet.
Hoffa.
Really underrated film. Jack Nicholson is brilliant in that.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
I also have that as well.
Maury Supreme.
Guess what? I also have it as well.
Meantime, the Mike Lee film.
Nice.
Killing Gunther.
Nice.
Rock of Ages.
Nice.
The Rain Man, the remake, the reboot.
Not gonna say a word.
Sabotage.
I'm also not gonna say a word either.
Shakes the Clown.
Oh, I heard about that one.
Scissor Road to Revenge.
Nice.
The Underground Railroad.
The Barry Jenkins miniseries he did.
Next, I have the true sequel to Speed, Unstoppable.
Really good film.
And I have one more, but we'll save it.
Yeah, we'll save it. And to answer your question, it is among my top 3 most anticipated films for the rest of 2026, hands down.
It's my number 1.
By the way, we're gonna go ahead and review our top 5 most anticipated films of this year really quick before we get to our usual reviews. My number 5 most anticipated film for the rest of 2025 is Wild Horse 9 by Martin McDonagh.
I don't have my top 5 ready.
Well, number 4, Werewolf by Robert Eggers. Definitely can't wait to see that. And then at 3, I have Disclosure Day, the Steven Spielberg film. And then my second most anticipated film for the rest of 2026 is Dune Part 3. And then my number 1 most anticipated film of 2026 is, of course, Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. I mean, the Odyssey. The Odyssey. Damn it.
Okay, yeah, I don't have an official top 5, but I have these movies: Doom Part 3, The Odyssey, A Tie Between Avengers Doomsday and Spider-Man Brand New Day, Digger, Supergirl, and I have some other ones.
Yeah. But yeah, those are our most anticipated films. Excuse me. Oh, holy shit! I almost choked.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine, man. It's that was my fault.
Oh, Disclosure Day. That's another one.
Yeah, I mentioned Disclosure Day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also have my Blu-rays as well. And here we go. One of my favorite movies of 2015. I definitely can't wait to see this later. I definitely cannot wait to see this director's next film later this year, The Revenant.
Leo's finally got an Oscar.
Yep. And I can't wait I can't wait to see Alejandro Gonzalez and Inarritu's new film Digger later this year with Tom Cruise. That looks so good. Bardo was all right, but definitely a huge step down. So hopefully this will be a step up for him. Next up, one of my favorite movies of 20. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. One of my favorite movies of 2019, The Farewell.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah, and then what I have here is a bunch of other ones that I got. An overlooked gem from last year, Lurker.
I think I've heard of that.
Lurker, it's really good, really good. You mentioned this on your podcast, last podcast, but Rental Family.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, another overlooked gem from last year, Bradley Cooper's. Is this thing on?
His weakest one, but still a good one.
Yeah. And then Soren mentioned these, and I'll mention them one last time. Marty Supreme, Hamnet, and finally Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. All right, let's get to the rest of the reviews. And yes, thank you, Taz.
First up, we have Dead Man's Wire, and Gus Van Sant returned to the limelight with this true story about a kidnapping related to a mortgage gone wrong. The movie itself has nice cinematography and music, and it's also well acted with Bill Skarsgård acting his ass off. However, it's clear that they were going for a Coen Brothers-esque dark comedy, and it just fell flat for me. The editing's all over the place, and it has a lack of tension due to nothing happening for a good chunk of it. So it's not terrible, but not a good comeback. Sealed mediocrity.
Before I talk about my thoughts on that film, I'm sorry, I'm perfectly okay with this as well.
See,
all right, I really like this film. Now, yes, it's not quite one of Gus Van Sant's best movies, since there are some pacing issues, mainly in the middle. Some of the tonal shifts can feel a bit jarring at times, and that some of the editing choices did come across as being uneven at times. But overall, I really like this film. I was invested in the story, mainly due to how gripping and engaging it felt. It was well directed by Gus Van Sant. And I was also really impressed with the screenplay, especially with how sharp and well written the dialogue felt. The acting was terrific, especially from Bill Skarsgård, who gives out one of his best performances yet, thanks to how menacing and powerful he felt. Decker Montgomery was also fantastic as Richard Hall, especially with how he does a good job making you feel the fear his character goes through as he's being held at gunpoint. Carrie Elway's Mahala, Coleman Domingo, and Al Pacino, although not in it that much, are also great as well. It's got a great soundtrack, fantastic cinematography. The production values and costume design are both excellent, especially with how they make you feel like you're back in 1977. The tension felt real. I was also very surprised at how funny it was at times, especially with how well executed some of the dark comedy felt. And the way it ended was pretty satisfying too. So overall, 8 out of 10 or a B+. I really enjoyed this film. It's not one of Gus Van Sant's best, but it is a really good film and a really good film to return to after what is like over 8 years. Holy shit!
Yeah. Next up, Greenland 2 Migration, and the first movie was seen as a moderate hit in 2020, so naturally a sequel was in order in spite of absolutely nobody clamoring for one. Turns out this was another classic case of sequelitis. It's just as well acted and shot as before, with some intense scenes there, But unlike the first movie, which had energy and a tight pace throughout, this one is much slower in spite of a shorter runtime. Especially since this has less disaster sequences and more just seeing people wander around the world for 90 minutes. It goes to the post apocalyptic cliches you see coming a mile away. None of the new characters were memorable at the slightest, and even the ending felt really abrupt with no real climax. Overall, I'm
Like,
not
it felt so rushed and underwhelming.
Overall, I'm not surprised this bombed as hard as it did, as it was a huge step backwards. Seal mediocrity.
Yeah, I really did not like this. Yeah, for me, I found Greenland 2 Migration to be cliched, predictable, and flat out boring. As a sequel, it doesn't work since not only was it over 5 years too late, but it also has some rehashed elements from the first film that makes you wish you were watching the first film again. And as a disaster film, it also doesn't work, especially since you know that the family's going to survive the apocalypse, which lacks any tension or suspense that the film was trying to go for whatsoever. Now, yes, like the first film, the acting is once again good. Gerard Butler is once again very good, and so is Marina Baccarin. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but she plays Alison Garrity, the wife of John Garrity. She was great. She was really good. And Roman Griffin Davis, who I remember from Jojo Rabbit and The Long Walk, he was really good too. It's got a solid musical score, great cinematography, and the visual effects on the disaster scenes were actually pretty well done. Unfortunately, the story felt redundant and predictable. The screenplay is a mess due to its bland dialogue and most of the characters, minus the Garrities, feeling paper thin and shallow. The directing was a muddled mess. Some of the editing choices felt uneven. The pacing was such a meandering mess. And like I stated before, there's also no tension or suspense whatsoever, especially when you know that the characters are going to survive the apocalypse. And it also has a share of cliches thrown in, and that includes the good dad melodrama trope that felt so redundant. Overall, despite good acting and visual effects, Greenland 2 Migration is unfortunately a massive downgrade from the first film due to it coming across as being cliche, redundant, predictable, and just flat out boring. Yeah, 3 out of 10 or a D+. I really did not like this film. And I am not surprised it bombed at the box office.
Next up, Primate, and Johan Roberts has directed what I heard were some pretty below average horror movies such as 47 Meters Down, the Resident Evil reboot, and the Stranger sequel we somehow owed an apology to after you know what.
The Strangers Chapter 3.
So I was surprised to get decent reviews. And the movie itself is well shot and well acted from the likes of Johnny Sequoia and Tony Kotzer, who I'm glad is still getting work after his Oscar win. And there are some pretty gnarly kills from the rampaging chimp. However, this honestly should have been a short film, as I had to fill it with scenes that either go nowhere or are a result of the characters making stupid decisions for the sake of the plot. So horror fans would get their fix, but it's definitely a one-time watch. Seal of accuracy.
I'll say this. Yeah, I found this movie pretty mid. Now, that's not to say it's without its good things in it. The directing is surprisingly solid. Johnny Sequoia, I'm damn it, I'm really bad with pronunciation, but she plays Lucy, and she actually is the only actress in the film that actually puts on a good performance. And Ben the chimpanzee is easily the biggest star of the whole film. The musical score was very good. It's got good cinematography, and the kills are easily the best part of the whole film, especially in part thanks to its fantastic practical gore effect. So it's definitely Johannes Roberts' best movie made so far, but it's still a hot mess. But it's still a mess regardless, especially with its insane redundant story and the screenplay. Oh my God. Wow. I mean, I mean, what a hot mess this screenplay was. Aside from lackluster characterization, the dialogue was just simply atrocious. Like there's some dialogue said by some characters that is so unbelievably cringy that it made me question who talks like that. And poor Troy Kotzer, fresh off his well-deserved Academy Award win for Coda, is horribly wasted in this movie since he's not given that much to do. It's clumsily edited at times, and besides the writing, my biggest problem with this movie are the cliches. If you've seen movies involving animals, including chimpanzees going wild, you know exactly where it's going to go from here. And not only that, it involves characters making dumb decisions for the sake of the plot or to pad out the runtime, which really tested my patience, especially since it's one of my biggest pet peeves in movies. I'm not kidding when I say that there are moments in the film where characters will make some dumb decisions that either wouldn't work or wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. And I'm going to have to spoil this one thing in the film. It's a mild spoiler, but it really presents a problem. Like there's this one scene where Troy Kotzer's character gets a text from the veterinarian as she confronts him that Ben has rabies. And when he arrives home, he all of a sudden anyway, and then he all of a sudden texts her back by saying there's no rabies in Hawaii. Like, really, dude? And then towards the end of the film, when he finally realizes that something is definitely wrong, to the point where he drives back to his house, he chows down on a leftover pizza without even noticing that Ben the chimp is right behind him, about to kill him. And yes, I get the character is deaf, but come on. Like, come on. Deaf or not, they like if they feel a chimp is like about to attack that said person, they would immediately turn around, notice, and then either run or just kill the thing in just a matter of seconds. Also, when Hannah runs outside away from the chimp, she gets into the wrong car. Like, how stupid do you have to be to even realize that you're in the wrong car? It's characters being absolute dumbasses by making some idiotic decisions, either for the sake of the plot or to pad out the runtime, and it really tested my patience. And because of that, not only was the pacing such a meandering mess, but the tension felt non-existent as well, even despite the effective kills. Overall, despite the film delivering some effective kills as well as some fun and entertaining moments in some spots, I unfortunately found Primate to be boring, cliched, and just downright forgettable. It's not a terrible film, but it's something I'll never see myself watching again. 4.5 out of 10 or a C. It tried. It tried. That's the biggest positive I could say. It tried.
Next up, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. And after the previous movie left off on the protagonist coming across this weird cult, I was intrigued to see what this goes with the sequel, but I ultimately came out of it severely underwhelmed. Just as well shot and well acted as the first one, with Ralph Fiennes given 110% as always, and there's a fair amount of R-rated gore throughout. But ultimately, this was kind of a mix, going between different character arcs with no real flow, and sometimes it could be a bit too slow for its own good. Like, there's no reason why this had to be as long as it is. And while the ending, I guess, was satisfying enough, and I am the least bit interested to see where part 3 goes, I just don't see myself going back to this one, as it's the first truly overrated film of the year, seal of accuracy.
I couldn't disagree with you anymore on this, Soren. I think this is the first. To me, this is the best one we reviewed on this show. To me, this is the best one we reviewed on this show. I love this movie. I love this movie. The story felt well structured and gripping. Nia DaCosta did such an excellent job with the way she directed the film. And like the last film, Alex Garland delivers such a brilliant screenplay, especially how it explores its main themes involving philosophy, the nature of evil, and religion. The acting was terrific, especially from Ray Fiennes, who was once again fantastic as Dr. Ian Kelson, especially in that one sequence in the film that blew me away to no end. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but if you've seen the film, you know which sequence I'm talking about. Jack O'Connell once again delivers such a powerful performance as Third Lord Jimmy Crystal, and that's thanks to how menacing he is as the main Jimmy that had me on the edge of my seat throughout. And Alfie Williams is once again brilliant as Spike. Although I'll talk about some of the things they did that I wasn't a fan of in a bit. It also had an excellent soundtrack, fantastic cinematography. And it's a shame too because I really love this film and it should have performed better. It's got excellent cinematography. It's got an excellent soundtrack. The cinematography is fantastic. It's very well edited throughout. There are some moments of real tension, suspense, which had me on the edge of my seat throughout. And even though this movie focuses more on the characters, there is some zombie apocalypse. There is some zombie action shown in the film. And when there is, oh boy, is it a lot of fun to watch, especially with the amount of practical gore effects they use as well as the makeup they used on it, which was so fascinating to watch. And finally, the way it ended, again, Soren, I'm sorry, I gotta disagree with you on that. I found the ending to be absolutely satisfying, and it makes me very excited for the third film. Now the question is, why isn't it my first 10 out of 10? Well, my only issue I did have with the film is that I did not like how Spike got sidelined in this entry. Like, he doesn't talk a lot throughout the film, which I don't have a problem with that. But it's the decision they make with his character and how he got sidelined that I wasn't a fan, that I really did not like. I get why they did this. I get why they did that, but I wish he could have done more. But that's really it. I really love this film. Not only is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple another fantastic entry to. Not only is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple one of the best in the 28 Days Later franchise, but it's also one of the most highly entertaining, terrifying, and gripping and chilling films I've seen this year so far, and it is the first great movie of 2026 so far. 9.5 out of 10 or an A. I really love this film. If you love the 28 Days Later films and you love the last one, check this one out. It's a fantastic film, and I definitely can't wait to see it again.
Next, I have The Rip, and of all the competently made yet generic and disposable cop films out there, this is definitely one of them. The actors are fine, including Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, but the movie is mostly just them looking for drugs and/or money, questioning people while occasionally having a shootout. So your enjoyment of this movie is really going to depend on how you feel about these generic and cliché cop dramas, so make of it what you will. But hey, at least it's better than the director's previous Shadow Force. Still mediocrity.
All right, next film we're going to talk about is the Sam Raimi film, Send Help.
His return to horror is a decent survival thriller with solid performances from Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien as they try to survive a distant island. It's also well shot, has plenty of gore, and fun music from Danny Elfman. Granted, it can be a bit slow, especially in the first act, and there's a bit too many Sam Raimi-isms for my taste, but it's nevertheless the first truly good film of the year that's worth a watch, so seal of approval.
This is the second best movie. This is my runner-up for my favorite film of January. I really enjoyed this film a lot. Now, in terms of my issues with the film, there are a couple pacing issues in some spots, and there are some moments, mainly in its outcome, that did feel a bit predictable. But that's really it. I really enjoyed this film a lot. The story felt simple yet engaging and gripping. It's well directed by Sam Raimi. And I was also very impressed with Damian Shannon and Mark Swift's screenplay, especially due to it having sharp dialogue, excellent characterization, and combining and meshing its horror and dark comedic tones nicely. The acting was terrific. Rachel McAdams easily steals the entire show as Linda Little. And let me just say this right now. She's like how Rachel McAdams looks. She's like if Elle McPherson got down and dirty. Like that's what Rachel McAdams looks like in this film. No offense to both women. They're both very attractive. All right, I could be vulgar and dirty at times, and I'm not afraid to admit it. This is why our show is definitely not for kids. Dylan O'Brien was also brilliant as Bradley Preston. You hate his character because of who he represents as being the new CEO of a financial company and how much of an asshole he is. But O'Brien's performance was so energetic and entertaining, especially with that cackling laugh he delivers. Oh my goodness. That this is one of those characters you love to hate. And the dynamic he had with McAdams actually was brilliantly done. Danny Elfman's score was brilliant. Fantastic cinematography. It's nicely edited. The mix of practical and digital visual effects works nicely. There are some tension, filled suspenseful moments that had me on the edge of my seat, and it's also really funny at times too. It's also not afraid of being funny as well. Like there are some dark comedic moments that actually had me cracking up. And the way it ended too was pretty satisfying. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film overall. I found Sant to be highly entertaining, intriguing, and it's definitely one of the better films of this year so far. 9 out of 10 or an A minus. Yeah, exactly. It's not for kids.
Next, I'm going to talk about Iron Lung, and Markiplier seems to be the latest YouTuber to branch into filmmaking with an adaptation of a survival video game, and boy does it feel like it. The production values are solid for a $3 million production, and the acting isn't all too bad, even if Markiplier is basically playing himself. But most of the movie seems to be him in this sub reacting to various things that happen around him, and it all gets extremely repetitive after a while. So a bold attempt to be sure, but not one I'd look back anytime soon. Still mediocrity.
Next up is the Jason Statham thriller, Shelter. He plays a former British government assassin living in isolation off the coast of Scotland who was forced back into violent confrontation with his past while protecting a young girl from the agency determined to eliminate him. Okay, now here's some things I really liked about the film. Here are some things I really liked. The directing is solid. Most of the acting, especially from Jason Statham and Bodhi Ray Brefnak. Again, I'm sorry for bad pronunciations. Bad pronunciations, Nick. Bad pronunciations. But yeah, both of these actors were really good. The cinematography was very good. The editing was solid. And the action sequences are easily the biggest highlight of the whole film, especially with not only how they were choreographed, shot, edited, and directed, but with the amount of stake they presented as well. Sadly, I wasn't a fan of this film. If you've seen a story like this, if you've seen a story like this, like where the main character must confront his past, you know exactly where it's going to go from there. Like, the story is so redundant, so repetitive and predictable. The writing is a mess. The Naomi Ackie and Bill Nye, no, not Bill Nye the Science Guy, the Bill Nye from Living. They're both horribly wasted. What was that?
Davy Jones from the Pirate sequels.
Thank you. Yeah. They're both horribly wasted in this film since they're not given that much to do. The score felt unremarkable. The pacing was a meandering mess. It's full of cliches that you've seen in other films before. Again, nothing is new here. It's just something you've seen plenty of times in other action films before. Yeah, overall, 4.5 out of 10 or a C. Again, it's not a terrible film, but it's not something I'll see myself watching again. I'll say this: it's the least. It's at least better. I would definitely watch this over Primate, Greenland 2 Migration, and especially Mercy and The Strangers Chapter 2. But still, it could have been better.
Next up, we have Dracula, the recent one. And Luc Besson's never-ending quest to be relevant again continues as he gives us his vision of the famous vampire that ultimately adds little to nothing to the lore. The production values are neat, as are the performances and music, but the tone is all over the place. Like, does it want to be a romantic drama, a horror film, a historical film, or what? The CGI is extremely wonky, and the pacing is aggravating, as for a good amount of the runtime, nothing seems to happen. So if you're a Dracula completionist and want to see yet another Dracula movie, you might get your fix, but not by much. See a mediocrity.
Hey, you know what? Before I begin my next review, good thing we're reviewing Mercy and The Strangers Chapter 3 on episode 69, because we both feel like we just got fucked. Yeah. Anyway, next movie I have, and this is probably the last one I'm going to be presenting on this show. A Private Life. It stars Jodie Foster and Danielle Atuli, and it's about. Hold on, I'm sorry. Give me a second. So it stars Jodie Foster as a renowned psychiatrist, Lillian Steiner, who mounts a private investigation into the death of one of her patients, whom she is convinced has been murdered. Now, even though this is a 2025 film, Sony Pictures Classics didn't release this until early this year in January, which is why I'm counting this as a 2026 film. I was interested in seeing it when I saw the trailer for this at my showing of No Other Choice, especially given that Jodie Foster was in it. And overall, I liked the film. I didn't love it, and that's mainly due to the fact that the story was a bit all over the place at times. The mystery aspect of the film fell flat, especially with how disappointingly underwhelming its twist felt. And it does suffer through some pacing issues in some spots as well. And I was a little disappointed in the ending since it did feel anticlimactic. However, I still found the film to be pretty solid. It's well directed. The screenplay was very nicely done, especially with how it had a lot to say when it came to exploring its themes on self-confidence, anti-Semitism, and psychological imprisonment. The acting was terrific, especially with Jodie Foster giving out one of her finest performances yet as Dr. Lillian Steiner. Danielle Atuli and Virgin Efria, again, terrible. There goes another running gag on this show, terrible pronunciations. But yeah, both of these actors were great. It's got a great soundtrack, fantastic cinematography, solid editing, and I was really impressed with the way the film's tension and atmosphere gave off a more Hitchcocky vibe to it. So overall, I really like the film. Overall, I like the film, and I think it's worth checking out just for Jodie Foster. 7 out of 10 or a B.
Finally, I'm going to get to In the Blink of an Eye, and this just feels like a diet version of the movie Cloud Atlas, where we see all these characters through different points in time, except it doesn't even go all the way or say anything new about humanity. It's not a terrible movie as it's well acted, and there's some nice cinematography and production design, but it's just something I'm going to forget, pun intended, in the blink of an eye. Still mediocrity.
Okay. Well, April Fool's Day may be 10 days behind us, but it's never too late to pull out our late April Fool's Day thing we've been planning for years. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be presenting our dog and pick of the show, and it's a special one because, well, Søren and I actually agreed on this. He's going to talk about a movie that I did not like, and I'm going to talk about a movie that he didn't like. And that's for our picks. So, Søren, take it away.
As for my pick of the show, I figured this time I'd go with the movie I really like, but Nick doesn't seem to like. And I figured the perfect movie to talk about is Sean Baker's pre-noir film, Red Rocket. It's a compelling story about a down-on-his luck guy who wants to put his life back together, but he doesn't seem to be much better of a person as he gets into the same amount of trouble he got into previously. In the wrong hands, this could have been a mean-spirited disaster, but Sean Baker manages to make it darkly funny throughout his runtime, and Simon Rex really pulls out the person you love to hate shtick, especially when it comes to his relationship with a young woman half his age that makes you feel somewhat uncomfortable, but that's the point given his character. I understand it won't be for everyone, but I nevertheless recommend you give Red Rocket a watch.
All right. So my good question. He's not just naked on the Blu-ray box; he's naked in the poster as well.
Yeah.
Oh God. And in the freaking DVD box. Okay, so my pick of the show was a movie that Søren did not like. Yet it was one of my favorite movies of 2022. Oh boy, Søren, you knew it was coming. My pick of the show, without a doubt, is. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Give me a second. Hang on. Hang on there. I'm still trying to find that movie. There we go. Okay, so here it is. My pick of the show: Triangle of Sadness. I really love this film. Yes, it's a little too long. Like there were some things in the third act that felt unnecessarily overlong, and they could have shaved like 15 minutes of it down. But this was. But other than that, Triangle of Sadness was one of the funniest and most thought-provoking films I saw from 2022. This was a movie that does a fantastic job at being a brilliant takedown on the rich and elite people. And this is one of those movies that not only keeps you engaged with the story and the way it's structured, but makes you think about those types of people and how hypocritical and egotistical they are, and the lack of morality that comes within them. All the acting, especially from Woody Harrelson and Harris Dickinson, was brilliant. the actress that they're playing up the Charles E. gave out one of the best breakthrough performances I saw from 2022 as Yaya. And it's a shame she'll be met. And it's a shame she passed in August of that year. Like, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Yeah, and what I loved about the screenplay when it came to satirizing the rich and elite people, I thought it was right on the nail with its satire due to it being a brilliant takedown on those types of people. Because let's face it, the rich people are the worst kinds of groups you do not want to be around. And on top of its well-structured story, terrific directing, excellent cinematography and soundtrack, great editing, and the humor being absolutely clever, and especially with the 10-minute vomit sequence that actually had me dying of laughter. And while the ending will split a lot of people, I thought the ending was actually clever because of how ambiguous ambiguous it was, yet there was still a conclusion to this. So yeah, overall, Triangle of Sadness is my pick of the show. And for your information, guys, this is the better film than Red Rocket. Sorry, not sorry.
Let's go over the dog of the show now. Let's go over one of the worst franchises in recent memory, shall we? Yep, we're going over the so-called romantic trilogy known as 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, God.
I gotta tell you, watching these movies have gotta be one of the most miserable experiences in my life. The admittedly nice-looking cinematography is the only thing of worth in these movies, but other than that, nothing. The story, there's no story. It's just a collection of Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson having the most wooden chemistry together, while also taking in these pretentious as non-sex scenes with some of the worst pop songs I've ever heard in my life. And whatever
one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life.
And whatever conflict there is just resolves just as quickly as they're brought up. Christian's terrible childhood, superfluous. Christian's helicopter crash, he's fine. Anastasia's sister being held for ransom, it's resolved rather quickly. Other than that, nothing. Oh, and take a drink for every montage and then ride a plane or boat or a car with another shitty pop song. And the main characters are just idiotic. Christian's a toxic boyfriend, and Anastasia's a complete idiot to even forgive him, let alone marry him and have a kid with him. These movies are not sexy, they're not romantic, they're not competent, and they're not even compelling. They're just boring. When the only people who walked out this trilogy unscathed are Dakota Johnson and most of the people behind the scenes besides the writers and directors, you know this franchise shouldn't have been made.
Like, seriously. And, yeah, there was a reason the first film was my pick for the worst film of 2015. 50 Shades Darker was my runner-up for the worst film of 2017, and 50 Shades 3 was my pick for the worst film of 2018. This is the worst film trilogy I've ever seen in my life. Because of how much they domestic abuse, that's and Christian Grey going Stockholm syndrome on Anastasia Steele. Isn't that romantic? No, it's not. This is the type of romance I hate. This is the type of romance I really hate the most. Hey, Fluttercore fans, I'm looking at you. You know I'm looking at you. Well, my dog of the show. Oh boy. Oh boy. I can't believe I actually did this to myself. Oh boy. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Okay, my dog of the show is a sci-fi film that many have considered one of the worst movies ever made. And you know what? I'm just gonna. And the fact I decided to buy this and watch it for myself, you know what? I'm just gonna show it. I got this from eBay. Yep, Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Like, talk about a colossal fuck up. Not just in terms of the story and the characters, but in terms of its writing, directing, cinematography, acting, editing. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention this too? Yeah, I might as well do this throughout. Might as well do this throughout and actually hold on to it. Yep, I'm actually doing a Dutch angle, guys. Get used to it as I talk more about this. And of course, I can't forget to shit. There we go. And of course, I can't forget to mention this. While you were still learning how to spell your name, I have been trained to conquer galaxies. Oh my goodness. It's a colossal fuck up beyond any sort of proportions whatsoever. Like, and you know, when the movie came out, Eli Samaha, one of the producers of the film, as well as the founder of Franchise Pictures, said that the critics were going to attack this movie because it involves Scientology, even despite the fact that not one thing in this movie even represented Scientology whatsoever. Like, what kind of nonsense is that? Yeah, it's definitely one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, for sure. But I'm fascinated at how bad Battlefield Earth is. Like, my God, the spell your name.
That's probably about to stand.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I'm actually holding on to this for a little while. But yeah,
options of renewal.
Within this options renewal. Within this options renewal. Within this options renewal. Let's repeat the line the same way again and again. Let's repeat the same line again and again. Let's repeat the same line again and again. Let's repeat the same line again and again. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, Battlefield Earth is definitely the dog of the show. But it's a fun dog of the show if you're in the mood for bad movie nights. So, Nick wins Best Cinematography, the Oscars. If only that was the case here. All right, now to just turn this back to normal. There we go. Well, guys, that'll do it for tonight's podcast. I know this is a bit shorter compared. I know this is a bit short compared to the other podcasts, but given how life has been getting to me, that's why our reviews our reviews have been pretty short. But we'll be back again in 2 weeks. But we'll be back again, hopefully either like in 2 weeks or at the end of this month, and we'll definitely present a much longer and needed like movie reviews for 2020. And until we meet again, I'm going to close out the intro the way I close it. Be sure to subscribe to Søren, the FilmBrony, on his YouTube channel. If the link is in the description below. Give him the love he deserves. He's a very talented person and a really good reviewer. And check out the other podcast he's in too, called the Popcorn Panel Podcast. The link is in the description below too.
And we actually covered Battlefield Earth in an episode.
Yeah, check that one out too. It's something. Yeah. And before, yeah. This right here, folks, the company responsible for Battlefield Earth.
And they ended up doing a producers on this movie and over financing it.
Yep. Uh-huh. I think we're gonna have a long talk here, but anyway, thanks for watching tonight's podcast, and we will see you all again next time.